everybody. This is Darren Dunlop with the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber. Here celebrating our very first video member spotlight of the new year 2021. And I couldn't be more pleased than to be joined by Carrie McTaggart, who is the campus recruiter for Eide Bailly. Carrie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Darren. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, it was, of course, everybody in our market and actually in many places around the country are very familiar with the name Eide Bailly. And so we're not going to really delve too much into that. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was recently, Eide Bailly was named prominently in two national surveys regarding being the best accounting firm in the country as far as internships. You were ranked number 6 in all of the country on that. I found that incredibly interesting. So I would love it if you could maybe give us a little bit more information about the importance of internships to Eide Bailly and how you got this ranking.
Yeah, definitely. So internships have always been extremely important to Eide Bailly. Think about an accounting season, a busy season for taxes, January to April, we're doing a lot of tax returns. Our auditors are crazy busy. And so how we help support our employees is through our interns. And our interns are typically juniors and seniors at the college level that we bring in for a couple of months and give them hands-on experience. So our interns are, not just running coffee errands and doing things like that. They're really doing the work of an associate. I actually started as a tax intern before joining the HR team. So it's kind of how I got my foot in the door with Eide Bailly. So I got to do lots of different tax returns. And one of the cool things about our internships, I like to think, is that, Eide Bailly, we're a pretty big company. And so we have a lot of exposure to different industries and different types of clients, whether it's a small business or a big corporation. And so at Eide Bailly, when you're an intern, you don't specialize in one area. You get to see all sorts of different things so that as you grow into your career, you've been exposed to small businesses, you've been exposed to those big clients, but you're also in a lot of different industries. And so our interns are really helpful during that busy time of our year and just get us through to the end of the season. And yes, that number 6 for best internships is something we're super proud of. It was from Vault, which is a company they do a lot of different surveys, and they surveyed our interns from our most recent class, so our 2020 interns. They gathered information about our internship program based on their experiences, and then they put together that list. And so that number 6, again, we're really proud of that to be overall internships. It just really goes to show the experience that our interns had while they were here.
And that's fantastic because, one of the chamber's main priorities is workforce. And obviously, the Eide Bailly over the course of many years has realized the importance of the opportunity not only for the students to get experience, but also for you to be casting a net and looking for talented people. So I guess before we move on, I would love it if you could maybe touch on a little bit about the numbers of your interns and how many maybe get an opportunity for full-time employment.
Yeah, so across all of our offices, we do a couple hundred interns every year. Majority of those interns are during our busy season, which again is that, January to April. We have some that come in the summer, and then some of our offices do have a busy season again in the fall, as well as some of our specialty services. And so we do have some in the fall as well, but majority are in the spring. And then after an internship, I would say, I don't have an exact number off the top of my head, but a lot of our interns do end up becoming full-time employees because really we're a growing company, we're a growing industry, and if we find good people, we want them to stay. So, once we find those good ones, we really want to bring them back. And a lot of our interns, like I said, some of them are starting as a junior. And so maybe after they're done with their internship, we're even offering them a full-time position during their junior year. So when they graduate almost a year to 2 later, they've already got a job lined up. And when I was a job seeker, that would have been really nice. A year and a half out of graduation to have a job lined up already.
One of the other numbers that we discussed so not only are you number 6 in the country as far as internships and, accounting internships, but the other number that really jumped out at me is that you're number 11 in the nation for internships for diversity with respect to women in accounting. So I guess I would love it if you could talk a little bit more about that, because, I don't know what the numbers are or have been for women in accounting, but I would assume that that is probably a primary focus and I'm guessing your workforce has really changed over the past decade or two.
Yeah, definitely. Women at Eide Bailly, and not just Eide Bailly, accounting, 10 years ago, it was a dwindling number. And that was a big concern to us because we obviously want women to be in our company and to stick with us and to grow with us. And so we as a firm kind of looked into that and said, why is this an issue and where are we seeing problems? And it really led us to finding out that as women get further into their career, they were just running into obstacles that stopped them from, being able to advance, and maybe they had other obligations that were holding them back. And so how could we as a company support them and help them continue to grow and recognize that, one of Eide Bailly's core values is balance. How do we help them find balance? And so what we did is we created this program called First Focus, which is all about the advancement and retention of women at Eide Bailly. And that was a program started by our HR department, but it's a program for senior associates and managers to be involved in, where they can come and they can learn about themselves, they can learn about leadership qualities, how to balance some of those things, and then just be connected to other women in our firm and have conversations about some of those things. And we've seen huge success with it. At our company in 2008, female turnover was at 18.9% in comparison to males at 11.1%. So that's a pretty drastic change from male to female. And so over the course of 11 years, so the last numbers I have are from 2019, but our female turnover had dropped to 12.3%, which is from 18.9 to 12.3 is huge. And compared to males, it was 13.9%. And I really think those numbers come from our First Focus initiative, but also just being more aware that not only at Eide Bailly, but accounting in general, female numbers were dropping. And so what can we be doing as a company, as an industry, to be supporting women in those careers? Because we want women to succeed and be, achieving what their goals in our company. And so beyond that, another piece of First Focus that we had saw was we saw the drop off kind of at that associate to senior associate. So not many were advancing into that manager, senior manager, partner level. And that's where we kind of made that program of, okay, they're going to start at, senior associate and managers are the people we want in this program. And so in 2008, 21% of our senior managers were female and 19% of our partners were female. And then in 2019, 43% of our senior managers and 30% of our partners are female. So again, just, I'm sure it's more than just the First Focus program. There's lots of other things that we've been doing as a company, but just having those discussions and having that initiative has really spiked our, retention and advancement of women in the company.
One of the things too that we talk about at the chamber is mentorship. And when you were talking about First Focus, that's it was like it even sent off a bell in this crazy old brain of mine. Obviously that, that the mentorship aspect of it has to play into the First Focus group.
Absolutely. Mentorship in that First Focus group is important, but again, just across our entire firm is a huge initiative. One thing that Eide Bailly does is assign every single person a career advisor. So every full-time employee gets a career advisor, and that's someone, maybe it's your manager, maybe it's someone above you that you work really closely with. But that's a person that you get to sit down with 3 to 4 times per year and have a discussion that's not about your day-to-day, but really what are your goals in your career? What sorts of things are you struggling with? Because I think when we talk about our struggles, that's when we can really grow. So talking about goals, struggles, but what have you achieved? Let's talk about what you've done in the past year and really celebrate those things. And it gives that person, every employee gets that person to talk to and talk about some of those things so that as you grow into your career, those are highlights and things that you're remembering to focus on, because you get in the day to day and you're getting busy and you put those things on the back burner. So it's important that we bring those to light.
Carrie, I know that Eide Bailly has done some major expansions into other parts of the country recently. And, thankfully, we still have the corporate headquarters out of our market. And so we're very thankful for that. But it's interesting because I wonder how this all ties in together. When you've got expansion into other markets, you've got this wonderful internship commitment that you guys have made. I'm wondering how, if you have opportunities for relocation for, for employees within the company, because a lot of times someone may be forced to move into a different market because of your spouse or significant other having to move to a different area. But does that play a factor into your retention programs?
Yes, absolutely. So you're right. We have grown significantly in the last few years. Our biggest ones in the last, I believe it was in July of 2019, we finally made our way into the California market, which brought us quite a few offices and helped us grow to be at over 40 offices in 14 different states. And so all of those states right now are west of the Mississippi River, but as a firm, we continue to grow. And so who knows where we'll end up in the next 5 years. But beyond just that, we also added an office in India in November of 2019. And so, we are continuously growing. And we recognize that when we grow, like you said, there are people that have to leave, maybe they live in Fargo, but their spouse got a job in Colorado. And so that, brings a move upon them. And if we find good people, we want them to stay with us. That's the heart of retention is if you've got the good ones, you want them to stay. And so relocation is hugely important to us. So every single year, our employees fill out a relocation survey. On that survey, they can note if they want to stay where they're at, if they're interested in moving, and if they are interested in moving, to which locations and how soon. So maybe, for myself example, maybe I'm in Fargo right now, but maybe in 5 years, it's my goal to live in California. And so on that survey, I could put that I really want to move to California, but I don't need to do it now. I can do it in 5 years. Or maybe if I was married and I had a spouse that had just gotten a job in Minneapolis, on that survey, I could put that I need to move to Minneapolis within the next year because that's where my spouse is. And then that survey results are sent out to our partner in charges of every office so that they have a good grip on who wants to come to my office, so that when they have a new position opening, we can look internally before we go externally and find if there's an internal resource that can help fill that need in another office and also, satisfy the needs of an employee.
Carrie, it really does seem like, I've had the good fortune of working with many people out on the Eide Bailly campus here in Fargo. And one thing that always seems to come up, and I will say that we've had the good fortune of having Eide Bailly be the Business of the Year in 2018 at our Chamber Choice Awards, and then followed up the next year with the YPN Best Place to Work. So obviously, and every time that I've seen those videos, it's always talks about the culture. And I've got friends who work out at Eide Bailly, and some of the things that I've heard is, culture like anything she's ever felt before, that management cares. I know that you guys had a special program. Of course, you touched on the fact that we've all been working remotely, and you did a special reimbursement for your team members with the COVID thing. And I would love it if you would touch on that, and then also maybe just touch on the overall culture of Eide Bailly.
Sure. Yeah. So in regards to COVID, obviously, like you said, culture is hugely important to us. And part of that culture is just an environment of support. And so when we talk about COVID, we really try to find ways that we can support our employees while they're working from home. And one of those ways was that reimbursement that, every staff member had the opportunity to receive, and they didn't have to submit receipts for it. And then it was just, if, hey, you had to buy a new desk because you're working from home, or maybe your electricity bill has increased because you're online all day now, or, you have kids working from home, so you've had to buy another computer or whatever it might be. We just wanted to give our employees some sort of supplemental income to help with some of those additional costs that they've incurred this year. So that was one way that we supported them through that. But also in regards to just our overall culture, I personally, working from home, feel extremely supported and connected to our teams because I know that our company has been doing things to help us stay connected. Our CEO, Dave Stendy, does firm-wide updates every quarter to let us know what's going on. We've had some different webinars from our employee assistance program that talk about how do you deal with the stress of working from home, or maybe, like I said, your kids are at home schooling now, and that's really stressful when you're trying to do that and try to, help your whatever meetings you have going on. And so we've had some of those webinars to just give us tips and tricks and have conversations around them. We have done happy hours. We've done holiday parties that are virtually. I think we're all kind of pros at this virtual, hangout thing now. And so those are all just ways that we've continued to be dedicated to our culture, even working from home. But culture on a big standpoint, yes, the comments that you've heard are so true. Culture is the heart of who we are. It was one of the main reasons that I chose Eide Bailly to stick with after I graduated. Like I said, I started as interns in 2 different roles and then got to stick with after graduation. And culture was the seller for me. You've heard, we talked about mentorship before, but that's a huge one. It's career development. We want every person to know that when you come to Eide Bailly, you don't have to be stagnant in your career. There's growth here, and how can we support you in that growth? And so not even just career advisors, but opportunities for training and development and CPE and all the extra things that are necessary in order to grow in your career. Giving back to our community is a big one that I'm sure, if some of the people in the chamber are nonprofits, they've maybe seen our partnerships before, but that's a big one for us. So all of our employees get matching donations up to $200 every single year. So if I wanted to go donate to an organization, Eide Bailly matches my donation. We get 8 paid hours of volunteer time every single year, and that we can use on whatever we want. So everyone has different passions in their life of things that they, really want to give back to, and we get 8 paid hours to do that. That's not the only volunteering that we do. There's lots of organized events through our office. Here in Fargo, one of the big ones that we do every year is the Fargo Marathon. We take pretty much everyone in our office and head up to the Fargo Dome to get everything ready for the marathon every year. But we've done lots of different things with, Ronald McDonald House, the Food Bank. I could list any number of organizations that Eide Bailly has partnered with. And I just think that really goes to show that no matter what community our office is in, we want to be a resource to that community. We want to give back to them because we know how important it is to be doing those things. And, we've got a lot of employees, so we might as well use them for good too.
Well, Carrie, I'm thank you so much for taking the time, and it's very interesting, and I'm glad that I was able to follow up with you and ask a little bit about the internship program because we're, as I said before, one of the chamber's main initiatives is workforce. It's retention and recruitment, and obviously, Eide Bailly is a pillar in our community on both regards. And thank you so much for taking the time and helping some of us understand some of the tactics that you guys use for retention and recruitment. And so on behalf of the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber, all of our members and the thousands and thousands of clients I'm sure that you have locally and nationally and internationally, I was unaware of. But we want to thank you for, first of all, for the important role you play in our community, for your investment back into our community, but also for keeping your corporate office and making your corporate home here in our Fargo Moorhead West Fargo area. So once again, thank you so much for all you do. And we may be coming back to you if we need some expert advice on internships and workforce retention and recruitment.
Hey, absolutely. I love talking about it. I could probably talk about it all day long. So anytime, I am all ears for conversation. But yes, thank you so much for having us and letting us being able to share more about our internships and some of the cool awards that we've won recently, as well as just our overall culture and everything else. So thanks for having us, Darren.
All right. Thank you so much, Carrie. Have a great day.
Yes, you too. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks.